If you love barbecue chicken, then stick around because we're gonna smoke some delicious hardcore barbecue chicken. A big thanks to Typhur for sponsoring this episode. You got brisket, you got ribs, you got pulled pork, and that's the holy triangle of barbecue. But there's one item missing in that, and that is chicken. And chicken happens to be one of my favorite things to cook. And the number one reason is because it's cheap. Therefore, I can feed a lot of people with it. And if you cook it right, it's juicy, tender, and delicious. Let's fire up the offset smoker and get started. The first thing that I'm gonna do is raise up my smokestack. I'm gonna make sure that the vent is open all the way. I'm gonna put in 6 half splits of beechwood and then light it up with a single fire starter. I can see some smoke still coming from the firebox, but I can also see that I got smoke coming from my smokestack. And that happens when the barbecue is still cold. Once the barbecue warms up, it's going to draft all the smoke through the smokestack. So I'm gonna wait until my beechwood is burned down, and then I'm going to add larger blocks of firewood and build up a big bed of embers. For me, the chicken leg is my favorite piece to barbecue. Because the chicken thigh, how good it may be, is a little bit small for one person. And whole chicken is a little bit clumsy to handle on your plate. And that's why the chicken leg is the perfect size. Time to put in some larger pieces of firewood. You just want to keep that fire going and make sure that you have plenty of airflow through the fire out of the stack. Time to season the chicken. There's really no need to do anything preparation wise. You're gonna have a floppy bit of skin here, a little bit of fat. If you want to, you can trim that off, but you don't have to. And as a matter of fact, if you're barbecuing, and especially on smoker, and you're going up to higher temperatures, keeping that on is a good thing because it's going to shrink up, it's going to get crispy on the outside, it's going to protect the meat, the fat's going to render off. So my suggestion is just to leave that on and then just season it. And I'll be using the PITMASTERX Texas barbecue seasoning because it's my favorite hardcore seasoning to use. It has a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of pepper, and it's just going to give the chicken a beautiful aesthetic. We're just going to season all of these. Make sure you hit every piece of meat and skin. And the higher up you go with your seasoning, the more even it's going to get. And with the chicken all prepared, it's time to prepare the grill grates. With chicken, you always want to make sure that you brush your grill grates, clean them up as good as you can, and spray them with a little bit of cooking oil. So your chicken is not going to stick and look as good as it can. And with the offset warmed up to a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius, which is around 240 degrees Fahrenheit, clean grill grates, then it's time to put the chicken on. You want to make sure you stay away from the first part. This is going to be the hottest part. So I'm going to start halfway through the grate. I'm going to put my chicken around the center of the grill because the hot air travels to the top of the barbecue, over and then down again. Which means we're going to have a hot spot here, we're going to have a hot spot there, and all of the hot air is going to travel over that chicken. And that's also the reason that I'm going to put my chicken with the meat side down and the skin side up, protecting the meat from drying out while the skin gets nice and crispy. And before I close the lid, there's one more thing to do. I need to insert a wireless thermometer probe. I'm going to stick one thermometer in a chicken leg closest to the fire and one furthest from the fire. Then I'm going to turn on my Typhur base station, and this is the gold jewel edition. And for me, this is my favorite thermometer. I'm just going to set it to manual. It's the easiest thing to do. And then all I need to do is set it to the temperature that I want to cook the chicken to. Now, I want to be aiming at 92 degrees Celsius core temperature. I can see at what temperature my barbecue is operating. I can see the core temperature of the chicken. And these things are super important to me because if you want juicy and tender chicken, you gotta cook it to perfection. It's not less of a challenge to cook chicken than, for instance, to cook a brisket in the perfect way. I want a nice smoke ring, I want it to be almost fall apart tender, and I want it to have a crispy skin on the outside. And all of that only comes when you're aiming for perfection. And that's why you're going to need a wireless thermometer. And the Typhur specifically has a sub 1G connection to the wireless thermometers. And that means it can measure the temperature while the offset smoker's over there and the thermometers are enclosed in like 6 millimeters thick steel. And then of course it connects to the Wi-Fi, so I can go anywhere I want and still know what's going on in my offset smoker. Another cool feature is that I don't have to worry about putting the thermometer in the center of the meat, because it has 6 sensors inside one probe. And the thermometer calculates the average temperature, and it measures the temperature so accurate that the specified deviation is only 0.3 degrees. That is something that put my mind at ease. I needed that much, but it takes all the guessing work and all the instability out of it. To have a trustworthy device. In the app I can see the charts on how the temperature is developing, and that to me is super important with the offset smoker, because I can see what the temperature is doing, and I can see if the temperature is going down in the offset, that I might need to add some more firewood to the barbecue. I definitely recommend picking up one because the price is super sharp and we get a discount with PITMASTERX, so go check that out. Discounts is right here in the video, Pitmaster 10. Just put it in, you're going to get even more discount than you already get on the Typhur Sync Gold Duo. And I put a link down below in the video description, right there. One more secret I need to let you guys in on when you're smoking with an offset smoker is that you're using wood for heat and you're using wood for flavor. In Europe we love beech wood for smoking, but there's one problem. The offset smoker has a real gentle smoke profile. Even though you're going to get the beautiful bark and it looks really well smoked, the flavor is not going to be as intense as with a ceramic grill. 2 of these beautiful chunks will give me a heavier smoke profile and a more pronounced barbecue flavor. It's been an hour and 15 minutes and my Typhur DualSync says it's 70 degrees core temperature inside those chicken legs, which means they picked up most of the flavor that they're going to pick up. Now let's take a look at them. And one thing that is important to me is that the skin crispened up. If I press on the chicken skin, I can see that it's detached from the meat, which means the fat ran it down and it let go, which indicates it's going to be crispy. For the second part of the cook, I'm going to turn the chicken legs around and the skin is going to capture all of the juices and the chicken while it's becoming tender. I'm going to close the lid again, and while I wait for the chicken to come up to core temperature of 92 degrees Celsius, I'm going to make a mop sauce. I'm making hardcore chicken, so I don't want something that is overpowering, but I need something that I can add at the end, something that breaks down a little bit of that fat in the chicken bite. So I'm going to go for citrus fruit. In this case, it's orange juice, and I recommend using a fresh orange. It just tastes so much better. So for something stronger in the acidity, I'm going to use a lime. To that, I'm going to add the same amount of sugar. So that's 50 milliliters. I'm going to add 50 milliliters of sugar, a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, and 6 tablespoons of chicken seasoning. Mix that up, and it's quite thick in structure, and the crystals of the sugar don't have enough juice to dissolve in, so I'm going to put it in a pan. Then I'm going to set it on the firebox and let that come up to a boil. I got the Typhur check mark, and that means the chicken is done. Let's take a look. Wow, that is the color that I'm looking for. We got the mahogany red, we got a nice bark on the outside of the chicken. Let's take one out. That is a beauty. Look at that. Oh, see, that is what I'm talking about. Of course, you don't want the juices to run out like that, but that is what I'm trying to tell you. That is how juicy this chicken is. There's no denying it. It is the perfect juicy chicken. The thing is, now you have to let it rest. You gotta wait for it to actually become even better, because all the juices that otherwise are going to run out, if you let it rest, it's just going to be part of the meat. It's just going to relax, it's going to be everywhere, and then you're going to have the ultimate barbecue bite. Now if you're cooking for friends and family and the food is done and you're just going to, I don't know, serve it up on a plate, then it's going to be about 10 to 20 minutes on that plate before everybody's eating. So you don't have to really consider the resting time. But now I kind of have to wait for it. And that is the moment that I'm going to brush on mop sauce. Now this mop sauce is optional. It just makes the chicken look good and gives it a little bit of acidity to break down the grease that is inside the chicken. It's basically bringing more balance to the food. Now check out how it looks right now. You see the difference? It looks freaking delicious. It's cooled down a bit on the outside. I can feel how fragile this chicken is. Just by lifting it up, it already almost falls apart. I'm gonna get the rest of the chicken out. That is the magic of cooking to 92 degrees Celsius. Hey, look at that. Oh, look at that. I'm just lifting it up and it's falling apart. It's falling apart. And that's how you want to serve it up. No need for utensils, no forks, no knives. It's some hardcore barbecue chicken. Soft, tender. I kind of needed a moment because the first bite was freaking delicious. It was like, I don't know, it's just the juiciness of the meat and the succulentness. It's like falling apart in your mouth and the juice is running out, and at the same time you get that smokiness and the crunchiness of the bark. This is everything you want in chicken. You need to try this recipe. Go check it out. It's on our website. Don't forget to check out Typhur. Links down below as well. We got the discount code. See you guys in the next video.